party peoples. Movies. What's going on? Bobo here with BrassReel Brothers. Thank y'all so much for coming back and joining for a little bit of a trailer breakdown. We're going to be doing Jurassic World Dominion. Let me adjust my mic here. I thought it was at the proper spot. You know, you never have it set just right until you get started and you realize something's wrong. But anyways, what's happening, guys? Hope y'all are doing good. I've been working hard. I got a short film I'm working on with my partner Andrew called Late Court. It's a little horror film that I got going, and it's actually rolling pretty well. I'm really excited about it. Also, been trying to edit videos and do stuff like this. Man, 2 days ago, YouTube was acting all weird, and it was like taking like hours to upload. I mean, it was really weird. And then yesterday, Facebook was acting all weird with posting stuff. A good friend of mine overseas was having issues with it as well as Maniac. You guys have seen him on the channel before. Hope you're doing good. I think he's joined me as well. So I saw a little comment from him earlier saying watching. So appreciate that, buddy. Thank you. Well, it's been a couple days since the Jurassic World Dominion trailer came out. And I got some things to say about it, but I also have some questions about this movie. And I'm sure that everybody out there has got some questions as well. But I really enjoyed the first teaser that we got. I thought that was actually really good. Thought that it harnessed a little bit of oh man, what's going on with the dinosaurs really being out there? And it looks like from this trailer now that like a significant amount of time has passed. So, before I get into that, I think that everybody can agree that they love the original Jurassic Park. I mean, the original Jurassic Park was awesome. It was groundbreaking. I think it's nostalgic for everybody. It really paved the way for CGI. A lot of people, it's what sold people, I think, on CGI as far as filmmakers. I think filmmakers were like, oh, snap. I'm going to start using this now. But with the success of that first one and it just being so awesome, and it stayed in theaters. I think it has a record for staying in theaters longer than any other movie. Maybe I might be wrong about that, but if it doesn't hold the record, it definitely has something. You know what I'm saying? It holds some sort of longevity. And then when the second one came out, look, I enjoyed the second one. It's nostalgic. There's a lot of fun to be had with it, but I think we can all agree that it just, after that first one, how are you going to hold up to it? And there was way less animatronics and more CGI. Part of what worked about the first one is that it was a nice blend of both. And then after that, I thought Jurassic Park 3 actually was better than Lost World, in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. I thought that there was a lot of fun to be had with that. And I thought it had more of a dark tone. It was scarier. I liked the raptors. I liked the bird cage. I like the Spinosaurus. This is before we're getting into hybrid dinosaurs. You know what I'm saying? But those movies weren't really like a trilogy. They weren't like wrapping up a story or anything. It just felt like another sequel every time. It wasn't like in Jurassic Park 3, you found out some crazy thing that you never knew from the beginning, like you do in the Star Wars trilogy or like in Lord of the Rings and things like that. Matrix. You didn't have that in Jurassic Park trilogy at all. It wasn't that type of trilogy. And with this one, it feels like they're trying to go for something a little more like that. And I really enjoyed Jurassic World. I thought it was a very cool, fresh take on it, a new approach. I loved the whole spherical scene, where they're rolling in that sphere. I think Chris Pratt as Owen is awesome. I think Bryce Dallas Howard is great. I love her in these movies. But just like that one, then when they did the sequel, when they did Fallen Kingdom, it was a huge step down. In fact, I'd almost say that I like this one less than Lost World. And Lost World was my least favorite one of the bunch so far. But when Fallen Kingdom came out, it was definitely my least favorite of the group now. Now, I like the end of Fallen Kingdom. One of the things I really like about Fallen Kingdom, because that one was directed by J.A. Benaya. And let me back up a little bit. First two movies were directed by Steven Spielberg. Now, he's producing all of them. The third one, he took his back seat and let Joe Johnson direct that one. And I thought that was a good idea because I think that he felt like he had really nothing else to do with it. And again, I don't think he originally planned for these to be multiple films. So with the fourth one, it has Colin Trevorrow taking over again. And he said he had every intention of directing the first and third one, and he wanted to let somebody fill in and do the sequel, the middle piece, which J.A. Benea did that. And he's known for doing horror films. And you can tell with that second half of Fallen Kingdom that it definitely has like a horror film vibe. And it's this haunted house, haunted mansion thing going on with the dinosaur, creeping around in the hybrid dinosaur, which was a scary one. Thought it was a little scarier than the Ominous Rex or Dominus Rex or what Odominus Rex. What was that again? I'm forgetting, but that was just kind of cheesy. Anyways, this hybrid dinosaur was a little scarier in my opinion. I liked the approach of them being in that house. However, I didn't like them bringing in the adopted cloned granddaughter thing in with John Hammond. I don't know. It was too much for me. And it took away from the Jurassic Park vibe. Like to me, I want this whole thing to be about dinosaurs, not something else, and that seems like that's what they were trying to do with it. And it seems kind of like they're taking that a little further in this one as well. Obviously it's about dinosaurs. It's a Jurassic World movie. But so we're going to go by this shot by shot. We're going to go through the whole thing. So the first shot we see is just this open field of snow. And I like the fact that things are going to be in snow. And then immediately it's just like, boom, see all these dinosaurs just rampaging through. And it's awesome to see that. And then right behind them following up, we got Owen. I was about to say Owen Wilson, but Owen, Chris Pratt. And to me, I like that. Immediately, that's a cool vibe. But it's making me question, is this dystopian? Is this like a time where the dinosaurs have gotten around and done so much? And I know it's not fully because there's still the movie theaters going on. So is this just a time where are they just in some area where it's cold and they're chasing after these guys on horses? I think that's the case because we see some stuff like at the movie theater here in a little bit, but it does seem like the dinosaurs are starting to cause a lot of trouble. And I don't know if it's existing in just one part of the world, like where they released them. And that's another thing. By the look of this, and we'll show a little aerial shot. Okay, there's a lot of these guys right here. And they're being chased by Owen and his crew. And it looks like that they maybe stop and get one right here, which, I mean, that's, a cool shot. Which, let me take a step back again. The CGI in these, in my opinion, my buddy Asmaniac and I were talking about this. And I think he disagrees with me a little bit on this. Now, we were talking about the brontosauruses in the first movie and how, like, when they see the brontosauruses for the first time standing in that big field, the brachiosauruses, whatever they're called, and they're like, oh my God. And it's the real first time you've seen them. Today, it doesn't hold up quite as well because I think the main reason is because our TVs have gotten better and all that, and that's why it looks so good back then and we can kind of pick it apart now. But there is still plenty of that movie that looks good, like the full-on T-Rex scene when you see the full image of the T-Rex and he's like stomping in front of them in the storm and the explorers are stuck there by the gate, the classic famous scene. While parts of that are animatronic, other parts of it aren't. And that stuff does still really hold up. I think the worst effects are in The Lost World. After that, I think they're really good in Jurassic Park 3, and I think they're really good in Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom. Personally, I can buy it a lot in these. I like them. So I'm hoping they do well in this. There are some parts in this trailer that you can kind of see it, but you can kind of see that the CGI is there. But I'm hoping that that's just because it's a trailer and it's not fully, remember, it doesn't come out till the summer. So they're still touching this thing up. It's not fully done yet. These movies, I mean, a lot of times the way things can be transported now digitally, you don't have to mail the film reel out to the theaters like you used to. Now you can get this stuff to them pretty quickly. And I think they do still mail certain things if they can, because they want to keep it as private as they can. They don't want it sifting around in the ether, as little as possible. Anyways, I'm getting off track. Just going by scene here, like I do with all my trailer breakdowns. We got a wonderful, beautiful shot of Chris Pratt looking at his horse right there. It looks like he's petting his horse. But one of the things that immediately in this trailer, before you even like start the trailer, this is like the opening of the trailer. you see these people walking up to a brachiosaurus. You see it real big right there, and you hear that's when you hear that, typical crazy noise for a trailer, than something that's make you be all like, ooh. And then right after that, we see the girl. And so that's the girl from the second one. That's the girl that was the clone. And so I'm wondering, and, she's the one that they helped rescue and stuff like that. And obviously, they weren't just going to forget about her character. I didn't expect them to do that. I was just kind of hoping that they would go away from it a little bit. I was kind of hoping that they would, I don't know, just get back to more of being afraid of dinosaurs. And obviously, it looks like in this one they're trying to like save them / save the people all at the same time. Then we got cut to a shot of Blue, and then we see this little mini Blue running next to Blue. So Blue's had a baby, and that's, I don't know, that immediately you already were attached to Blue from the other movies, because of the Blue's relationship with Chris Pratt, Owen. But now that Blue's got a little tyke running around, you can see right here, it's chasing it. You see it right behind the Blue on that aerial shot. And then right here, it's just like boom, and it's to me that just I'm hooked a little bit on that because I already like Blue. So it's like, oh man, we got a little mini Blue, little, I don't know what's it going to be called, Sky Blue. That's stupid. Sorry. But then immediately cut to the universal symbol, and it's all in sort of like cased in this sap style and theme, because that's what it was. It was fossilized mosquitoes in this sap that was from dinosaurs. And then immediately cut back to another hot shot of Owen, and he's obviously talking to Bryce Dallas Howard. And then it cuts to him and the girl, and Blue's coming out of the woodworks with the little tyke there. You can see the little tyke right on Blue's left, our right, but Blue's left. And immediately it's like, no, look, you got to let me and my kid chill here, I guess. And it looks like to me that, because at this point, Blue's cool with Chris Pratt, right? I mean, at this point, it's like his dog. Like Blue likes him no matter what. So it looks like she is hinting to, hey, let my little baby come over here. And you can see right here, there's a little meet up right there. And so one of the big things that I want to talk about in the questions that I have for anybody who wants to chime in, are these things breeding hardcore, and are they like fully, and if they're breeding hardcore, which it kind of looks like they are, because if if Blue's had a baby, and then if you're seeing this shot right here, them like a bunch of them running in this area, I feel like they're breeding. And if this movie takes place, a few years down the road, I feel like that's definitely going to be an issue, getting all the dinosaurs together. You know what I'm saying? But you got the Mosasauruses out there that's in the water. I mean, crashing up and then yanking this ship down in the water. So, I mean, it's not like just rounding up some dinosaurs here. They got a serious issue on their hands. So is this movie going to try to imply that dinosaurs are going to be back forever now, and they're just trying to figure out how to coincide with them? Because again, you got this big boy running around town. I mean, how do you round him up without killing him? I mean, I guess they've shown that how they've done it in other movies a little bit, but again, if Blue has had a baby and other ones are breeding, is this thing breeding? Because remember, in part 2, there was a mother and a father, and they were protecting their baby, and that was that whole like in the canopy of the trees scenes when they are in that lift that went up into the trees, and then their friend got ripped to shreds by the car, and he was trying to help him out, and they pick him up in the air and just tear him in half, the 2 T-Rexes. So who knows? I mean, maybe there is going to be multiple T-Rexes here, but you see this right here, and then obviously there's this kid watching it. So it looks like that real life is still consistently going on, obviously, but it just, I guess Owen and Bryce Dallas Howard and all them are just on these missions, like in remote areas that are like, Alaska or something like that, trying to find these dinosaurs. But I'm just curious as to what they're going to be doing with them and what their true goal is here. And the fact that we got her in here, I'm curious as to see how much of this is she's gonna be a part of this thing. Man, I made like one of the best cups of coffee ever. I'm just saying. So immediately cutting to this shot, and this is somebody walking into a cave where we see some people doing something. Now, my guess is that that's Sam Neill right there in between those legs. I'm guessing that these legs are Jeff Goldblum because we know that they're all in it. They're all in this trailer. But I'm thinking that this is like his entrance into the movie, the first time you see him in the film. That's what I'm thinking. And it looks like Sam Neill right there, I think. And then the next shot of this person walking, it looks like Laura Dern on the right there with some blonde hair. Cut to right after that in the trailer, we go to Sam Neill. Now, look, Sam Neill is 73 years old and he looks great. My buddy as Maniac pointed that out the other day. And man, he does look great. He looks fantastic. He pretty much looks the same. Like he doesn't look, 30 years older. 25 years older. He looks maybe 10 years older than he did in the first movie. So maybe 15, but I just think he looks great. And he's always been a fantastic actor. I've loved him in everything he's always been in. I mean, all the way from Jurassic Park to In the Mouth of Madness to The Omen 3, The Final Conflict. Yeah, that's right. He was in an Omen movie. He played Damien. It was great. He's like a corporate guy. He's like getting successful in the corporate world and stuff. But anyways, this is not about Omen 3. This is about Jurassic Park or Jurassic World 3. And then so you see Sam Neill right here, and it looks like he's on a dig, on an archaeological dig. And then cut to straight Laura Dern right there. And man, I already knew she looked great still because she was in Marriage Story. But again, look at her. She doesn't look that much older. And so I don't know. Kudos to these guys for just taking care of themselves. I mean, I don't want to say that they've had work done. It's Hollywood. Who knows? Who knows what happens in that the world of Hollywood? But I definitely, there's certain movies where you see somebody come back in a role, and I don't want to say who specifically because I don't want to be mean. But there's certain times you see somebody come back that they haven't played this role in like 25, 30 years or whatever. And it's just kind of cheesy. It's just hammed in and it doesn't work. They don't look right for the part anymore because they've just aged in a weird way or they've changed so much to where it's just like, I know it's them portraying the character, but come on, it doesn't work. So I'm excited to see these guys looking the same way, like they look like the characters, This looks like Dr. Alan Grant. This looks like Dr. Ellie. Can't remember the name. It's Ellie something or something Ellie. But then it's so great because right away he says something to her like, you didn't just call me, who did a chit chat or whatever like that. And then she's like, and this is in the trailer. I'm sure it's cut together this way, but she's like, are you coming? And then they show this classic Sam Neill. Oh, that's where you say you didn't call me to chit chat. Then they show this classic Sam Neill, like, and the camera zooms in on him right there. And he's sort of like looking down with his head and while his eyes are looking up and the camera zooming in. It's just classic. He did the same thing in Jurassic Park, like the original, and they're doing this. It's obviously a callback shot, but I love it. And again, he looks fantastic. He looks so cool. He's always just had as Maniac was saying this the other day or yesterday or something, we were talking, he does just have a really cool, definitive look to him. And again, I've liked him in most everything I've seen him in. Charming guy. So immediately when you see that happen, that zoom in on him like that, and he's just like, looking at that, doing that whole, we cut to this. And again, a lot of these things running around. Now, I don't know. This could be like the only pack of things that have started breeding. Maybe that's part of the storyline. I really don't know the full storyline in this one yet. Because even this new trailer, while it was cool and we got to see a lot, it was just more of a visual trailer. It wasn't really letting us know the plot line. I mean, Jeff Goldblum saying a few things when he's talking at the end, and they're all discussing some things. And yes, you see some scenarios of them all meeting up, and yes, they're all going to be together on screen, but we really don't know the full plot yet. Um, Cutting to this now in the woods, a feathered dinosaur. Now remember, back in the first one, they had always talked about the theory of how birds are the evolved version of dinosaurs. They're sort of the descendants. And it does make sense if you look at the structure of what we've seen on, screen and stuff like that. But there's they do have seem to have similarities. And it's just the idea of them evolving into birds is kind of cool. They still have the claws, they sort of have the beaks and the eyes and that look. Um, but with this now of sort of a dinosaur, like a reptile with feathers, I don't know what they're trying to do here. I don't know if this is a hybrid gone wrong or if it's because a hybrid bred with something else and this is the outcome. I don't know. But something's after her right here too. Bryce Dallas Howard, she's getting into that green foamy water. Now look, this is what I'm curious about. This girl on the right here, is this Jeff Goldblum's daughter? Now, I haven't looked online as far as IMDb and who she's playing, who her character actually is. But you remember one of the things that happened in Jurassic Park 2, Lost World, was Jeff Goldblum had that daughter that saved everybody with her gymnastics. That was one of the things I hated about that movie. That's like me and my buddy Matt were watching that and we were just like, oh my God. So it could not be, but I'm just curious as to, because he did have a daughter, and if he's going to have more of a significant role in this, because he wasn't in part 3 at all. He didn't show up, but just for a second in Fallen Kingdom, right? I don't think that he showed up at all in Jurassic World, but even if, regardless, outside of being in part 1 and part 2, he hasn't had a significant role at all in the franchise. But this one he is going to have a significant role. I don't know if it's going to be like the last 30 minutes that he's in or what, and it could be like that. But still, if you're in the last 30 minutes of the film, to me, that's significant enough. And I'm just curious if there is some sort of remember how he went on the rescue mission for his girlfriend, Julianne Moore? I'm wondering if he's decides to show up because his daughter's there. Again, I don't know this at all. I have no reason to even believe it, except it's just sometimes my hunch is telling me storyline and character wise, if he had a daughter, it would, continuity purposes, it would make sense for them to include her. If she meant so much to him in that second movie, which she did, I don't know. It just seemed like she'd still be a part of his life. I don't know. I could be wrong. But so cut to this shot, which is really cool. And again, a lot of this it's a visual trailer. So it's not really, I'm just trying to pick apart what I think is going on just from these scenes that I've seen. So this is a pretty cool shot, seeing this dinosaur, whatever dinosaur it is, creeping underwater, and it's like growling and roaring right here. And then immediately cutting to this scene of her, Bryce Dallas, being under the water. And it's just like, I like that. That's cool. That's them being creative with the camera. And I can definitely appreciate that. Anytime you can be creative with the camera and just not have the camera just actually documenting something, that's what makes the film a film. And then immediately we cut to Jeff Goldblum talking about how he's mentioning it's Dominion. It's not good. It's not enough. And, his typical Ian Malcolm speeches that he did in the first one and in the second one. And that was his only part, was in the second one in Fallen Kingdom, was at the end when he's making that speech in front of a board in a courtroom or something. And yeah, it's just, it's interesting to see him coming back into it. And I just wonder why he's going to want to show up physically, cause he didn't want to be there in part 2. He was just there to rescue him. He was the one telling everybody, "You're crazy. Get out of here. You're crazy." I can't do a Jeff Goldblum impersonation, but he was the one that didn't want anything to do with it it was all a bad idea in his eyes. All of the recreation, every bit of it, he was like, "No, you don't tamper with nature like that. You don't try to play God." So I'm curious just to see why he's in this and why he's going to actually play a significant role and going face to face with the dinosaurs again, because we'll get to in a second. But as we see in this trailer, he does go face to face with them again, with all of them. And then, they make it appear this way in the trailer, but I'm not sure that this is how it's going in the movie. But it looks like that there's some DNA things looking at right here. I don't know if that's them trying to genetically tamper with stuff again, because look, you got Wong showing up and it looks like he's aged and some time has passed because he's got some long hair and it's gray now. And it also, they're making him wear this sort of like grandpa sweater. So just trying to imply that he's older and time has passed. And the one thing that about the Jurassic Park movies that have always been there is while there's dinosaurs and they're a threat, there's also a human villain. And so there's always that man against man and nature against man going on in these movies. So I'm curious to see who the human villain's going to be in this, because there's definitely going to be one. There's always some person trying to get ahead in these movies, not just the dinosaurs that are out there. Again, remember, the dinosaurs are out there because of someone trying to play with nature and play God and get ahead and profit off of all this stuff. I mean, I guess one could argue that John Hammond initially wasn't trying to actually profit off of it, but ultimately he was. Maybe that wasn't his real and pure intention, but it was part of his intention. Again, jumping to scene, we got Bryce Dallas running down the hall here, way of some sort of area. It looks like they're in another country or like overseas or something. But man, I'm hoping that they do a lot of CG scenes like this and don't try to, like, to me, the way CG works the best is when you incorporate it into shots that you have already and try to incorporate it into the way the shot is flowing. But when you try to do, and I'm not trying to bash on them, but it really is bad in Transformers 5 last night. Like, it was already getting bad, but in the last night, it's really bad. When every shot was obviously them holding a camera out and just getting some footage with a camera so they could CG in something. Here, it looks like that Bryce Dallas Howard they're filming something cool, filming her running down this hallway, and they're capturing a cool shot and then CG in something else behind it in the style of the way that shot's being filmed. So they're making the dinosaur kind of blurry because it's in the background, not in the, it's not just with her in the middle. And, I just think it's something that's can work. And if they do the CGI like that in this movie, that's what I'm really looking forward to. And I hope that it'll work like that. Again, we got a shot of the thing chasing her right here on the top of this building. Looks like it's another country. And then I like this shot right here because it's like running past the screen really fast. And again, you're filming something that you can implement the CGI in rather than create a whole CGI scene. I think that's how CGI works well. And then it looks, I wasn't able to get a good shot of this as far as a freeze frame of it without it being blurry. But I feel like that this is Bryce Dallas Howard jumping off of whatever she's jumping off of. I feel like this is her doing this stunt. And because in the thing, I've watched this trailer multiple times. In the actual trailer, it looks like her. Now, technology these days, it can do a lot of stuff, but I don't know. I just have a feeling this is actually her doing it. And if it is, kudos to her. But then jumping right over to this, a very cool shot of this raptor jumping across the buildings. So that's another thing. It looks like they're going to be hunting dinosaurs while the dinosaurs are hunting them. So it looks like this huge roundup type situation. Wow. It's like, but don't forget, these things are vicious. You try to go hunt a leopard or a tiger or a lion. Well, you got to watch out because I think might start hunting you. So I just like the idea of that. That's always been the thing with Jurassic Park. And of course we get this scene right here. Experience the epic conclusion. I'm just until the next trilogy. You know what I'm saying? They're obviously going to do a 7, 8, and 9. They have to. It's too much of a money grab. But if this is wrapping up this sort of storyline, that's fine too. But I mean, it makes you wonder when they start a new Jurassic Park franchise, and they will, I guarantee you they will at some point. Will all of these people from the first 6 film make an appearance in one of those movies in the new franchise? You know what I mean? The way that Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, and Laura Dern are in this last movie. Are they going to do that in the next movie? You know, and it's just funny to think about. Because again, remember the first 3 movies, you know, Sam Neill was only in the first and the third one. Jeff Goldblum was only in the first and the second one. I don't think there was anyone consistently throughout all 3 films that was important. And correct me if I'm wrong on that, anyone, because I think John Hammond had died before the third film, right? The guy that played John Hammond, I think. Maybe not. Maybe he died after it and just wasn't in it. Or now I'm getting off track. But this trilogy has all the same characters throughout. Yeah, there's new characters in the movies just to add some new flair here and there, but they do that with every new movie in a trilogy or a franchise. But they are keeping with the same core characters. Cutting straight to now, what I'm curious as to what this is. This has got to be some sort of massive dinosaur facility or something that they're working with, you know, dinos. And you can see some sort of helicopter flying in right there. And then they zoom in directly on Sam Neill and he's looking it out, you know, giving that look. And it's funny because I'm sure to Sam Neill, all he's doing in his head is just looking to his right out of a helicopter or pretending to look out of a helicopter. But he's just got this look that's just so like, it makes you feel like, oh shit, what's going to happen? I love it. He's made for the screen. There's certain people out there that are made for the screen, and he's one of them for sure. And then it cuts immediately to this thing, the feet dropping on the snow. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but at the beginning of Jurassic World, the first one, we got like this little opening up of like a shot of the snow, and then you see this claw that lands in the snow, and then the camera backs up and pans out, and it's a bird that landed in the snow. So, which is kind of interesting to me because I didn't know that a whole lot of birds flew around snow, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure there's some birds out there that do. But you finally see this thing, and it looks slightly like a bird, but it's actually a dinosaur. You see the claws coming up from up here, and then you see it right here. So this is where I'm wondering what's going on. Is this the hybrid dinosaur they're going to do in this one? Because there was a hybrid Indominus Rex. That's what it was called. Indominus Rex. I was drawing a blank earlier. So there was the Indominus Rex in the first Jurassic World. Then you had that other hybrid in the second Jurassic World, which I liked better. That was a scarier hybrid, in my opinion, which had the long, long arms that could actually like use its claws to like open doors and things like that. That was really cool. But it was still super vicious. So is this the new hybrid dinosaur, or has this dinosaur been breeding, or have the dinosaurs been crossbreeding somehow or another? You know, or did one of the hybrid dinosaurs, was there a hybrid dinosaur that got out there that started breeding? I don't know what's going on, but obviously this dinosaur has feathers. Just interesting to me. And then you can see Chris Pratt and the girl in the back, but then look at this shot right here. Look at Chris Pratt. I'm sorry, like I can't help it. It's just a funny pose. I'm sure that in the movie it's going to work just right, and the camera's moving and it'll fit in just the way it needs to. But like this shot that I got and was able to just the freeze right here, he looks hilarious. It's just like, hey guys, check it out. I'm about to fight this dinosaur. I love it. It's great. But then, yeah, they're waiting because look, this thing's coming after him. And it literally looks like a dino bird. It's not like just a little bit of feathers. It's like huge feathers that like looks like it helps it fly. And I'm just curious to see what this thing is actually like in the movie once it gets there. And then obviously it's about to chomp at him. And then cutting again to Laura Dern. And I think this girl in the bottom left here is that scientist from the second movie that was the girl scientist that was with him the whole time helping him out. I think it is. I could be wrong, but I think that's who that is. And then these kids running from this. Now, I'm wondering, is this a bunch of baby dinosaurs, like a bunch of baby flying dinosaurs, like in a bunch of nests, and they get stormed out and they're flying all over the place. And these kids are like, oh my God. Because it looks like Laura Dern's looking at it right here. And then you see this right here. And I mean, boy, talk about a little throwback to the Birds, Alfred Hitchcock. That is still to this day, the Birds gets to me because it's crazy to think that just a flock of birds could just sort of turn on everybody and start attacking them. But that's what this looks like. But I'm just curious if it's little, baby flying, baby pterodons or something, or if it's babies of this thing. If it had like tons of eggs or something and they're all, I don't know, who knows? I could be just over speculating, but like I said, this is a visual trailer. There's not a whole lot to really go on in this, just from what we're kind of seeing. I have to put the pieces together. And you got Bryce Dallas there talking to Owen, it looks like, and having that stereotypical conversation they're having. It's like, but no, look, you got to do this. We got to save him. But I love you. And he's like, I love you too, but I'm cool and I'm hot. And then cut to this scene. Oh yeah, I got the motorcycle, babies. And man, it's just very Indiana Jones-ish, it just has a very cool, rugged vibe to it, but that's old Chris Pratt for you. Now, this is what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing this scene in the streets. And again, if they treat this and CG these raptors in the way that they should and make it look the way a motorcycle was looking, I'm talking about like resolution. And, the worst part about something like this is if you have something behind it that looks like it's a cartoon because it's just clearly CG. But if they're able to really work on it and make them sort of blurred like everything else would be blurred if you're going that fast in this shot while you're filming it, I think it can work. And then, obviously it looks like they're going to attack him. So it looks like it's different than it was in Jurassic World when he was like riding with them. And they were like his army of raptors going behind him. And he was like, yeah, boys. Like this looks like that, it's a little different than he might be actually running from them at this point. But see, like this shot right here, that's a very cool, like it looks like they're CGing them off into the background in the distance behind a little bit of fog and dust thrown up by the motorcycle. So like, I buy that. I think that looks really cool. We'll see when it gets there. I know my buddy Asmaniac is a little reluctant about what they can do with the CG and stuff. However, he did say he thought this trailer looked good. And that's another thing. I think this one does look better than Fallen Kingdom. I'm hoping that they learned that Fallen Kingdom was a little bit too much of a cash grab. The first half of that movie was just so rushed. And it was fast paced too. It was like overly fast paced to where I wasn't getting into what was happening enough because they were just jumping to the next thing. But it was also just kind of dull in the first part of it. It's like it wasn't thought out properly. But I mean, there's cool scenes in the first part, like the sphere scene underwater and all that stuff. That's really cool. And man, I tell you what, when that brontosaurus or brachiosaurus is getting left on the island and they're having to go away from it on the boat and it's all blowing up behind them and that he's like, oh, that breaks me down every time I see it. It breaks my heart. It's terrible. But this one does look like they're trying to step it up from the next one, which that'll be good. There's a lot of times that the sequel sometimes doesn't match up to what the first and third one are. And then sometimes you have sometimes where the sequel's the best one, like the second one. And then the third one is like, eh. So we'll just see how this goes. But I have to believe it's going to be better than Fallen Kingdom. But then as he's chasing him on this motorcycle, it looks like, this is obviously two T-Rexes fighting each other right here. Or is it Mama and Papa jumping in on everybody and attacking people in the middle of wherever they are overseas? And so that's the thing. How far and where all have they gone to? Like, are dinosaurs everywhere now? Because we've seen them in the snow. We're seeing them here. We've seen them in like out in the woods in like a theater type campground area. And remember, we had that short film on YouTube that came out called Battle at Big Rock, I think is what it was called. And that, it showed a bunch of people camping and dinosaurs wrecking shop everywhere. So I'm just curious is how far is the reach of this infestation of dinosaurs within humanity and in society in the real world? But again, this right here, he's running from a raptor that's running up here with him. And if they make that look cool to where it's all blurred out properly and it just doesn't look all cartoony, I'm looking forward to it. Man, can you imagine if like you were about to get like from up above, just oof. Yep. Oh, and then of course, as soon as he's doing that, it cuts straight away to something else, and it actually cuts to this scene right here of them in a helicopter. And of course, they're going to be in another situation in a helicopter again. Or no, actually, this is not a helicopter; it's a plane. And you see them like looking up above them, and it shows them all looking up above them. And Chris Pratt's just like, "Oh, is that another plane above us shooting down?" And then she's like, "Eh, not exactly." And that's when we get that boom, big old bird claw just right in there. I mean, look how big that claw is. And so then you see this, and it's like, oh my God, look how big that thing is. It's massive. It's just wrecking shop on this plane right here. And then and then you see it from the top after it's leaving them, and it's just, yeah, obviously crashing this thing up to where they have to parachute. Now, I'm just wondering what's going to happen here. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be like, I'm sure Chris Pratt's going to swing down just in time or something, because this thing is about to attack her and get her. She's obviously parachuting down in her ejector seat. I'm just curious what's going to save her. Is it going to be Chris Pratt saving the day? Is it going to be a bigger dinosaur? Is it going to be another jet, or who knows? Somebody going to shoot it down? But then not only is Chris Pratt rolling around with the dinosaurs, but it looks like these guys are rolling around with like some triceratops and stuff. And boy, this thing right here, just wow. You can see that car is sideways now. I mean, they were upright, now sideways, and then boom, upside down. Look at this thing. So that's another thing. We never got to see a whole lot of action with these guys, these dinosaurs in the other films. So I'm hoping that this movie is just chaos the whole time, and I'm hoping that it's not really like too much of an explanation into some other storyline. I think if it's just like, look, we got to round up these things. Like, I don't want them to get into the clone daughter storyline, a clone granddaughter storyline too much. That's my biggest worry about this film. I'm not necessarily worried about, is it going to be too much going on? I want it a lot to be going on. I want it to be dinosaurs are loose in the world. I want it to be chaos. But like I said, what I don't want is them to get sidetracked with a story that I don't really care about, like about that little girl. I'm sorry, it's nothing against her as an actor. She's fine. She does a good job. I just don't care about that avenue of the story. But then immediately cut to this right here. Looks like little baby Blue, and it looks like they're trapping it with a fox or something, because right away you get this like whoosh, this snow that comes up, and it looks like it's a trap. And of course, Mama Blue comes out, not my baby. But then that's another thing. Who's the bad guy in this movie? There's got to be a bad guy in this movie, right? Like not the dinosaurs, but like a human bad guy. And it looks like there's a facility that they find, and it's like, oh my God, what is this? So I'm just curious as who's going to be. Is it going to be Wong? Perhaps Wong the whole time? Who knows? Because they haven't really shown a whole lot of other people in this except for the main characters. They're going to be in it. But then, this is now, we're getting close to the end of the trailer here though, guys. But looks like it's going to be an intense scene. And that's, again, I want a lot of intense stuff with the dinosaurs. I want to see them like skate out with the skin in their teeth. This is another dinosaur we didn't see enough of in all the other films outside of the first one. And even then, the way he ate up Newman, Wayne Knight, it wasn't enough. But then it looks like we're going to get a little bit of a showdown here. I mean, look, how great would it be if this was just, they went straight horror with this and this thing just spit right in her face, just because that stuff was like toxic. That'd be awesome. I mean, I want them to take it a little, go to the end of this with, stretch it a little bit, try to push it. I don't want them to just be super friendly. Because I know that they got to appeal to kids and stuff like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's dinosaurs. Wouldn't they just ravage you? I want to see that. That's part of what I liked about part 2 is they actually, when they showed him ripping that dude apart, like, ah. So right after we're seeing this thing right here, it looks like there's some sort of, again, whatever this is and whatever this is looks like it's probably like the same facility or something that they find. But look at 73-year-old Sam Neill, man. He's got a pipe in hand or something or a wrench, and he's just like, yeah, I'm about to F him up. I love it. I was about to say Owen Wilson again. I don't know, but Owen from the movie, Chris Pratt. He's about to throw down. And then, of course, we get this scene right at the very end where it's just like they go bigger. And this was obviously just a chance to get them all on screen, all at the same time. And you can see that Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard are cleverly placed to the right just a little bit, just so they can get a shot of all three of the classics on the originals of there again, which I love it. Bring that all in. But just straight up, you notice how they have the black shirt like the first movie for Ian Malcolm. But this is where they're like, why do they always have to go bigger? And that's when we see this shot of the T-Rex coming out. But again, is this a T-Rex or is this some other big new hybrid dinosaur? Because once we see this foot in front of them, it looks like it's way bigger than any other one that they've seen before. So I'm just curious what this is. Just, have no idea if it's just going to be another T-Rex or if it's like a hybrid. Is it an Indominus? Is it a super Indominus? But as soon as we see that, we get the, and it's not even, they don't even put the title of the film. They don't put Jurassic Park or Jurassic World Dominion, nothing. It just shows this and then it shows the date it's coming out, which is summertime. And look, I'm excited about it. I'm not going to lie. I'm definitely going to be first in line to go see it. While I've not liked any of them as much as the first one, still remember the experience of going to see part 2 and how it was like a big deal for me and my friends. And so there's a lot of nostalgia wrapped up with it. I really did like part 3. Jurassic World was great. Fallen Kingdom was a step down. Like for me, it's like Jurassic Park is the best one. And then Jurassic World is the next best one. Then for me, Jurassic Park 3. Then I guess Jurassic Park 2, Lost World, and then Fallen Kingdom until we see this one. This one might change my mind on that. This one might jump way up. I might be like, oh, Dominion is the best one. Or I might be like, it's the worst one. Or it might just be mediocre. Who knows? But I do think it's going to be better than Fallen Kingdom. And overall, I have a good time going to see these movies. They're a fun summer movie that's guaranteed to be like a popcorn type experience. But occasionally you might be surprised and look up and get something really awesome, like we did with Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. So with that being said, guys, signing off. We hope it holds up to this bad boy right here because it's ending at least this trilogy, and we'll see when it's coming up soon. But thank y'all for tuning in, guys. I appreciate y'all so much. And also be on the lookout for some stuff involving my short film with my partner and I, Andrew Worley, doing our short film Lake Court. It's going to be pretty cool. Really excited about it. There's a lot going on right now with it. A lot more work to do than just my channel now, but that's all right. It's going to be worth it. And it's going to be something that I hope that leads to other things. So, hey guys, I ain't got nothing else for y'all except I'm going to try to get us an outro here and look for some hot, fresh popcorn reviews coming up. See, I think the next one I got is, Scream 3. And I got my Jackass review out right now that I just put out. So check those out. But anyways, guys, thank y'all so much. You have a great day. Oh, yeah. And then I got my Texas Chainsaw Massacre breakdown coming out here in just a few hours. So see y'all then. Peace.